Hi. Welcome to another what do you call it? A quick and brief build. Now, as it says in the title, right, the exploitation of women and men in cults. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this because of current events that is happening on the YouTube streets concerning a recent cult, a modern day cult. A modern day, I would say, um, a modern day, let me think of the word now. Don't want to get it wrong. It's a modern day oppression. That's what it is. That's what it looks like from where I'm sitting. If you are watching it, you will see modern day oppression. Now, this is just a brief video. It's not going to be long. Like, I'm not going to do a whole hour. I'm just going to put up this article. Let me see how I can put it up. Now, cults are terrifying, and they are ever even worse for women. Women's abilities to control their own reproductive choices are often determined by the cult leaders. Charles Manson followers Susan, Patricia, Leslie walked to court to appear for their roles in 1969 cult killings of 7 people, including pregnant actress Sharon Tate in Los Angeles on August 20th, 1970. Now, in the cult, the ability to decide if and when to have a child perhaps is the most basic decision in a woman's life and is taken over by the leader as a demonstration of the leader's control and in attempt to undermine the attachment between mother and child. The goal is to focus on all feelings of attachment on the leader or the group and on them alone. This is one reason why, though women and men both suffer in the iron grip of the charismatic cult leader, women followers face a unique set of life-altering issues, and those unique issues often become the focus of media coverage of cult cases. Women's sexual lives Women's sexual lives and their lives as mothers and their ability to control their reproductive choices are upending within the cultic organizations. For instance, former members from both Scientology and the New York political cult in Newman tendency have reported women being forced to terminate pregnancies so as not to interfere with their duties to the organization. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though cults such as Children of God controlled reproduction by forbidding any form of birth control whatsoever, another cult leader reported decided who was developed enough to have children and who was not, as a way to individually control and punish and reward women followers. If and when a child is born, a whole series of controls may be evident, and many groups separate mothers and children for long periods of time or raise them communally, as in David Koresh's branch, The Davidians, where children barely knew who their mothers was. Scientology recruits young teenagers and even preteens to the Sea Org, yeah, and their secretive inner organization separating them from their parents and sometimes for years. Not all groups interfere so directly with the parent-child attachment. All will keep members extremely busy so that mothers have little time to give the kind of attention to their children and that they otherwise might, and what parental attention is available to the children may have to be played out within the practical structure of the group. Mothers in Watchtower Organization of Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, may have to take their children out for hours every week to witness to the public, and when not witnessing, nearly every evening is devoted to the study of Jehovah's Witness material, either at home or at the Kingdom Hall. Recently, thousands of cases are being exposed of child abuse and sexual abuse of women in the Jehovah's Witness, where organizations refuse to take judicial action against the accused unless victims could comply with it. To witness rule, a historic rule that stated that abuse could not be proven unless the victim could provide two eyewitnesses to the same abusive event. Mothers in the types of closed cultic groups then end up in a position in which they are unable to protect their children. Women's sexuality and relationships are controlling cults, of course, but in different ways. It is now well known that the Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints young women was married off to older men who already had up to 60 to 80 wives. The leader of the group, Warren Jeffs, is now doing time for activated sexual assault of underage girls. Meanwhile, the extra boys left over as a result of the plural marriages were booted the cult and left on the edge of the highway in the Arizona desert to fend for themselves. In my work, I have met women who have come out of a range of cults, yoga-based cults centered around the use of, I don't even know how to say, ayahuasca, and a Pentecostal Nigerian cult where women was groomed for sex with the leader. And in the latter case, some women in the cult was kept in dormitory for months with little access to the outside world and allowed to eat the leftovers from the leader's lunch plate as a privilege as part of grooming them for sexual activity. The Children of God cult simply pimped women as prostitutes for the Lord. The type of sexual abuse is often sold as a way to become closer to the spirits or to God. It is represented as not really sex at all, but a form of spiritual practice. Other groups arrange marriages sometimes to a partner the woman has never met, as it happens with the Unification Church, the Mooney Mass weddings. The media tends to portray these particular events as oddball and laughable, but in my view, it is simply sexual abuse as, at its worst. Um, exploitation at its best. An Iran terrorist cult, Majidini, control marriage by forcing its members to divorce in all kinds of ideal purification. ISIS, a terrorist cult, entices female recruits with promises of heroic marriages to fighters. In short, women's right to control their bodies and their childbearing, their sexuality and their mothering are all taken away in cults as the leader grabs control of those most intimate parts of their lives. Women don't choose this. They are groomed and brought in slowly and gradually separated from their previous lives and close relationship. Once isolated within the cult and suffocated within its close world, it becomes almost impossible for the followers to maintain the independence. At a certain point, it becomes easier to simply give in and stop thinking and accept the new norms. Cult leaders do this as a part of system of control. They engage in many of the same tactics of control as one sees in domestic violence cases. The leader slowly gains control of every element of a woman's life and cuts off her close relationship, portraying him or herself as the sole remaining figure to whom the woman should turn. This threatening abuser uh, com- confusedly becomes the apparent and safe haven. This results in a trauma bond through which everything outside of the group and the relationship with the leader feels threatening, and the woman is no longer able to think and clearly about her own survival needs. But when it is the leader and the group that is the real threat, it creates a dangerous situation in which the woman can no longer trust her own feelings and perceptions. It would be a mistake to think this only happens to the people in physical isolated and faraway places. Cults are truly everywhere in a modern world, in modern life, from the neighborhood who invites you to join a pyramid scheme selling soap to the personal transformation coaching sessions advertised on Facebook to the great sales job a young graduate or to the new church with the joyful music that have just opened up and down the streets. But be careful when you step over the threshold. Once in, it can be very hard to get out. Women can protect themselves and their children by learning how to recognize the warning signs and manipulative methods of coercive groups and relationships unless we do so, and we can all be vulnerable to the appealing outside face that cults present to the world. And that's by the lady, what's her name? Alexandra Stern, PhD. Oh, hi. Hi, Alexis. Sorry, I was so busy reading. So, this is really the control, and it's a big control that the leaders have over the woman's body, separating the mother from the child. It definitely sounds familiar on many levels as well. I am going to actually play a lady who was there, but I'm not going to do it today actually because that'd be too much. I'm just going to make this a short one and then I'm going to come back again and turn this into a part two because this happens on a regular basis, and as much as my reading isn't that great, but you get the point in it because the lady explains a lot in the article that how the body's not theirs and they have to give up their oops, let me put back on them, that they have to give up their body so that they can look after the leader. So this is definitely what's going on in that modern cult right now. It's clear to see that and especially if the leader is charismatic. It actually called out a few names of cults as well along the way. Manson, the Manson family included in that one. So I am gonna stop right there because I'm going to do part two of this one. So thank you for coming through, Alexis, because it's just only a brief one because I'm gonna go see other lives right now as well. So I'm not going to really linger on this one. This is going to be a very short one, another short one. But there is another one coming with the either the Unification Church or one of them anyway. You'll see when it pops up. So with that said, I'm gonna come off.